Okay guys, are you or are you not over the top excited about this graphic novel? Because if you aren't, you really should be. Personally, I initially fell into the category of not that excited. When I first heard about it, obviously I was like, oh my gosh, I love the Lunar Chronicles, even though I haven't read Winter yet. But I love it, and the fact that Iko gets her own novel, and not even just one novel, it's a graphic novel series, like, yes, I am so into this. Still, this wasn't like at the top of my TBR or anything, but it was at my public library, and obviously I'm not gonna let it go if it's there. So I put it on hold. I was the first person to get it, and I just randomly started reading it because it's a graphic novel and it's the Lunar Chronicles and blah blah blah. Obviously, okay, obviously I'm gonna read it as soon as possible now that it's actually in my hands, and I finished it in under an hour. Guys, this was so good, and there were a few problems, actually just one little problem with it, and honestly it wasn't even that much of a problem because I still really want the next volume in the series. This one is way too short, and I know without a doubt that as long as you just like the first book in the series, even if you haven't read the rest, you want this book. You do have to have read at least one book in the series though, because the background definitely helps a bit, and honestly the more books you read, the more you will be into this because it will make more sense to you. So definitely do that. But I personally did not read Winter, as I said. There was a bit of a spoiler at the beginning because this book basically assumes that you know nothing. So it gives you an introduction and everything, so that's great if you are not interested in reading the series. But personally, I felt like this actually inspired me to read Winter, and so hopefully I will get to that sooner than I would have otherwise. And ugh, I don't even know when volume 2 is gonna come out, but I need it. Okay, so that's the spoiler-free section of this review, and now I'm gonna have to discuss some things because some crazy things happen. Once I jump into this frame again, we're gonna get to it. So people who haven't read the book and want to, I'll see you later. Hello, I'm back. Let's get into this because wow, I cannot believe I didn't see this coming. This was so good, and from the very beginning, you're hooked. The first few pages are just a really quick recap of the end of Winter, I'm assuming, because it just tells you about how everything's overthrown and everything. Right after that, we get to Iko kicking some werewolf butt, or like mutant werewolf dog mutt thing butt. Mutt butt. She kicks mutt butt, and oh my gosh, she's so kick-ass, and I love it. I absolutely adore it. Iko is such a beloved character in this series. I really loved reading her thought process and seeing how she felt about all the characters and how she felt different from everybody, and this was actually so painful because some people treated her awfully, especially that one lady in that Android store. Like, oh my gosh, I want to punch you. She was just so rude. She's like, hey Iko, I think you need a new personality chip. Except she didn't say it to her, obviously, because she's rude. No, she says it to Thorn and Crest like they're her owners. Like, no, excuse you, she is her own independent android. I just think that she's a great character. She fits in really well with the rest of the characters. Crest, Cinder, Winter. Still haven't read, but I'm gonna pretend like I have. Winter, pretend I know her. There's one more. Scarlet, yes. So she fit in really well. Obviously, she's influenced by these characters, and I'm so happy because her development from the first book to this is great, and yet she still has the same essential personality, and I loved it. Okay, but now I have to get into the whole love interest thing because I feel like that was one of the major selling points about this book. Obviously, one of the main reasons you're going to read this, other than a love for the Lunar Chronicles, is because you want to see who Iko's going to get with. We see Cinder with Tai, which is never going to be not adorable. We see Crest with Thorn, Scarlet with Wolf, Winter with Jason, or like Jason, or however you want to pronounce it, and now we see Iko with, don't even know his name, Kinney. We see Iko with Kinney. Now, that was like one of my guesses. My initial guess was actually the one wolf mutt guy that she was fighting in the beginning. He seemed like he had a lot of potential, so I thought it could be him. He was my first guess. And then immediately after that, or before that, I can't remember which, but we see her like one single interaction with Kinney, and it literally says in one of the corners, you know how they do in graphic novels, and it says he was pretty, but he was a bit of a jerk. And I was like, okay, this is definitely one of the other options. So I knew it was between them, and then pretty soon on it became obvious to me that the wolf dude was just downright evil. And yeah, he was smart and great, but he wasn't gonna come around and be good anytime soon. So unless there's gonna be a love triangle later, which I would be into. I know people hate love triangles, but like I don't. I'm sorry, but yeah, I'd be into that. I don't know, Kinney, I was never really into his character very much. He just seemed like a very cliche thing, and even though this is a graphic novel, I still felt like it could have done the whole thing better. What actually happened is they don't actually get like together. They're not together at all in this book, which is shocking, and he actually only shows up again at the end after insulting her that first time way back in the beginning, and he calls her like a measly robot or something. Like, why did Cinder send me down here to protect this stupid little robot? Okay, that's just really offensive, okay? Like, I don't care. That's really not attractive. I'm usually into rude jerks, but this guy just didn't do it for me. And then Iko goes through this like reprogramming or something. I assume that's what happened. I'm not completely sure. When Crest changed the chip in her, I'm assuming that there was some personality or something into it. I don't know if Crest did it on purpose or not, but it happened because Iko was like blushing all red and everything, and she could not stop thinking about Kinney. And I don't know, that has to be personality chip wise, and Crest did ask for a chip, so I'm pretty sure she did it on purpose, but I can't be sure. But that's what I think. I guess we'll find out later. But so yeah, she just keeps thinking a lot about Kenny, and I'm like, dude, this is a bit much. And he obviously hates her, like he genuinely hates her, except like at the very end there's like this thing, and so what happens is that they're like insulting each other, their faces are like this far apart, and he's like angry face the entire time, and then Crest, it goes to like angry face to like, oh look, his lips are right there, face to yeah, that happens, and he's shocked, and they just both pull away. They pull away instantaneously. Kinney is like, what the F are you doing? And Iko is like, oh, did I read that wrong? I thought there was some romantic tension here between us. I must have been watching the net dramas wrong. And Kinney's just like, what? So yeah, he absolutely does not like Iko. He thinks that her whole personality thing is just a play, an act to get people to trust her. So he does not trust her. Although, even though he was disgusted by that kiss, after that, he's just like, and all his, whatever men do. He was actually like, yo, that was not that bad. And I'm just like, this is so fake. This is so fake. And yet, literally that's where we ended. And I thought this would be one book. I thought this entire thing would be Iko's story. I didn't know that there would be more. So clearly I'm out of the loop, and that made for an unpleasant surprise because there is more, and this book fulfills nothing, okay? Like, it's really good. You read it really quickly, but it does nothing for you except make you want more, which is definitely good on the author's part because she's bringing in the big bucks, but not good for me. I really did love seeing all the cast back together again and seeing how they interacted after the war. Unfortunately, like, I didn't read Winter, so I don't have any Cinder and Kai moments other than like the brief thing in Crest and then, you know, the very first book. So they were apart again in this book, which was sad and disappointing because I have not gotten enough Kai, okay? Like, if I had my way, this entire series would be from Cinder and Kai's perspective. Like, I love all the characters, but oh my gosh, Cinder and Kai are my OTP for this series. It started with them. They are still my #1 ship. I want more of them. I did not get enough of them. Hopefully there's more of them in Winter. I'm assuming there is because they're like fighting the war together. But yeah, Winter is probably the person I was least interested in this book because I didn't read her story. And Jason/Jason, he seemed not very nice, which I know is like part of his character just from like the 5 pages I read of Winter before I had to return it to the library, but I don't know. Hopefully Winter, the book, will make me more into him. I do plan on reading that before the next graphic novel comes out, whenever that is, so I'm on top of it. Overall, this was such a fun book, and if this wasn't on your radar before, I'm glad it is now because it's so good, and I hope I've convinced you to read it because you will not regret it. 1, it's an hour of your life, and that is nothing, and 2, it is genuinely so good and it has a lot of potential. The plot is literally like a plot of a full-blown YA novel in this series, which is great, and I'm excited to see where the graphic novel takes it. I really enjoy this graphic novel with the YA background that we had to it. I've never read a graphic novel like that. Usually it's just a graphic novel or just a YA book, but this one uniquely combines both and it really does work. So basically what I'm saying is, you want this book in your life. Thanks for checking out my review, guys. Definitely do check out this book if it wasn't on your list before because it is so great and just such a delight and very different from the normal YA novel and even the normal graphic novel. And if you're a fan of the Lunar Chronicles, this definitely will not disappoint you. Be sure to subscribe to the Lone Reader to be notified every time I post a video. And if you want some videos right now, I've got some, so don't be afraid to check them out. I'll see you next time, guys. Have a great day. Bye.